The bus stop stood at the edge of the village road, where the asphalt slowly turned into packed earth and fallen leaves. A single wooden bench waited beneath a crooked persimmon tree, its branches still holding a few stubborn orange fruits. I wrapped my scarf tighter around my neck and sat down, listening to the soft whisper of autumn moving through the fields. The wind carried the scent of dry grass and distant wood smoke. Somewhere far away, a dog barked once, then went quiet again. I checked the time on my phone, not because I was impatient, but because waiting itself felt like part of the evening ritual. The bus would come when it came. Until then, the village and I would breathe together. I had arrived early, as I always did. It gave me time to notice small things, the way dust floated in the slanted light, the way a single leaf tumbled across the road like it had somewhere important to go. I brushed a few fallen leaves off the bench and placed my bag beside me. Inside it were still warm roasted sweet potatoes wrapped in cloth, their gentle heat pressing through the fabric. From the fields came the slow sound of crickets tuning their evening song. I pulled my scarf up over my mouth and smiled to myself. You always teased me for wearing it too early in the season. Autumn is not cold yet, you would say, but I like the feeling of being wrapped in something soft while waiting for you. I remembered how we used to walk home from school together along this same road. Back then, the bus stop felt enormous, like the center of the world. Now it felt small and familiar, like an old friend who had been waiting quietly for years. A bicycle passed by, its bell ringing gently. An elderly woman carrying vegetables nodded at me as she walked past. "Waiting for someone?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes," I said. She smiled and continued down the road, her footsteps slow and steady. The sky turned from pale gold to soft lavender. I took one sweet potato from my bag and broke it open. Steam rose into the cool air, smelling of sugar and earth. I blew on it and took a small bite. It tasted like evenings long ago, like the comfort of coming home after a long day. While I waited, I watched the road bend into the hills. Each time a shadow moved, my heart lifted a little, then settled again. Waiting felt like a quiet conversation between hope and patience. To pass the time, I pulled out my notebook and wrote a few lines about the day. I wrote about how the laundry had dried slowly in the sun, how the cat had followed me while I watered the garden, how the wind had knocked on the windows in the afternoon like it wanted to be let inside. Writing made the minutes softer. A faint hum reached my ears. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then it grew into the familiar sound of an approaching engine. The bus rounded the bend, its headlights glowing like warm eyes in the dusk. It stopped with a gentle sigh of air and dust. The door opened, and a small group of people stepped down. I stood, heart suddenly lighter, scanning their faces. Then I saw you. You stepped onto the road with your bag over one shoulder, looking a little tired but smiling as soon as you spotted me. The village light caught your hair, and for a moment, everything felt suspended, like the world had paused to let this moment arrive gently. "You waited again," you said, walking toward me. "Of course, the bus stop gets lonely without you." You laughed softly and adjusted your coat. "It's colder than the city already." I handed you the warm sweet potato. "Then this is perfect timing." You took it with both hands and breathed in the steam. You always think of these things. We began walking down the narrow road toward home, our footsteps in rhythm. The fields on either side shimmered in the fading light, and the mountains looked like they were made of shadows and old stories. "Did anything happen today?" you asked. "Nothing special," which makes it special. I told you about the cat in the garden and the soup I had started preparing before coming out to wait. You told me about the long train ride, the way the city lights never seemed to sleep, and how noisy everything felt compared to here. As we walked, the wind brushed past us, carrying the smell of leaves and river water. I could hear the soft rustle of your coat and the faint clink of keys in your pocket. These small sounds felt like music meant only for us. When we reached the house, the windows glowed with warm light. Inside, the kettle was already humming. I took off my scarf and hung it by the door, then set the sweet potatoes on a small plate. You washed your hands while I stirred the soup. The kitchen filled with the scent of vegetables and herbs. Outside, the sky deepened into night, and a few stars appeared between drifting clouds. We sat at the low table and ate quietly. The soup was simple, but it tasted like reunion. Steam curled around our faces, and the wooden floor creaked softly beneath us. After dinner, we washed the dishes together. You dried them while I placed them back on the shelf. Our shoulders brushed now and then, and each touch felt like a small reminder that you were really here. Later, we stepped outside again with 2 cups of hot tea. We sat on the porch and watched the moon rise over the fields. The crickets had grown louder, and somewhere an owl called out into the dark. "I missed this," you said, waiting for the bus, walking home, everything being slow. I nodded. Slow means we notice things. You wrapped your scarf around your neck this time. Maybe autumn is colder than I remembered. We sat in silence, listening to the village breathe. The road was empty now, but it still held the warmth of the day. I thought about how waiting at the bus stop had become a quiet promise to myself that no matter how far you traveled, there would always be a place and a moment prepared just for your return. The night grew deeper, but the warmth stayed with us. The bus stop, the scarf, the sweet potatoes, the walk home, each small piece stitched together into something gentle and lasting. And as the tea cooled in our hands, I felt that this waiting, this simple evening, was not just about you arriving, it was about keeping a space open in the world for love to come home slowly.